Okay, hey folks. Yeah, just gonna do a little bit of dev work. I'm actually gonna be fixing these errors down here, and then I'm going to work on um, making the main scene, because we'll go back to the game scene. I'm gonna actually switch windows, switch layouts to my normal one. We need to make a new scene, and this scene is going to be the title scene, and we can call it as much for now. Doesn't matter too much. Save this one and move on over. We're going to switch to 916, and the reason for this, excuse me, the reason for this is it's roughly what the cell phones work with. I've now got a Pixel XL 3. So I think my aspect ratio is a little bit different, but it should be close enough that, wow, man, Windows notifications are out of this world at this point. But anyways, it should be close enough to get the job done. We don't need a light. What we will be doing is we're going to be putting a title up here and then a few buttons. Basically, what you're going to be doing is, at least until I figure out a login system, all you're going to be doing is either selecting a routine that already exists, and we'll figure out how best to present that, and then otherwise you'll be creating routines. Maybe we'll have it focus on the routine that fits for that day, but yeah, we're getting there. There's not much left. In fact, I don't think this even needs to exist anymore, does it? Routine IDs? I don't believe so. We're gonna just delete that, and then if it turns out I'm wrong, you know, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna real quick, we're gonna go in and we're gonna comment out this whole chunk, just so it stops complaining to us, and then we'll fix it. We'll fix it later. I think it's a stupid limitation, but I don't make the rules, so. All right, main camera's fine. Then we need a canvas. That canvas is going to scale with screen size. We'll just say 1920 by 1080. We'll set this to 0.5. And that should take care of basically everything that could concern us as far as this goes. And then it's just a matter of connecting the dots, the things that we want in this scene. One thing I don't really have, we don't really have a theme yet in terms of what, oh, I dropped a frame, huh? Wonder why. Not a big deal. If it keeps happening, I'll worry about it, but that's fine. Anyways, where we stand, let me close this because Google syncing would definitely do it. Nexon's closed. We don't have a background art of any kind, really. I could do something temporary, like a textured deal. Kind of tempted to find something in like open game art or what have you. Just to sort of spice it up, make it a little more interesting for my eyes, and then later, maybe during Christmas break for me, I can work with Liz to make it much more attractive. Oh, that's how big is that in actuality? Might just grab a planet from space. I'm checking it out real quick. Obviously, you can't see it, but and then there's the star field. Okay. Yeah, so these will be good for stand-in, temporary stand-ins. They have nothing to do with the general theme of the project, because the theme obviously is working out. I just can't think of like What's a general color palette that people use? I guess black seems to be what the hip, cool kids are doing. Black or white. We'll go with black. Let's just do that. That seems fine. So let me go back into Unity. Main camera, solid color, black. And then in the canvas, we're going to want to create a text mesh. And we fit together. I guess we'll keep it as caps. Small caps, maybe? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not the artsy one. That's definitely Liz's forte. But she's busy, and I don't want to bug her for now. I want to get some stuff done and go from there, you know? Figure out what works and just sort of have a tool to help me with my workout routines. Because if you can't find something that fits your needs, you might as well make it yourself. Just temporarily gonna put it there. We don't really have a font yet, and we only have one that comes with text mesh. That's fine for now. So we got our title. Kind of short of breath for not doing too much today. Maybe that's why I'm short of breath. You don't do much and it just catches up on you. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that cloud service was why my frames were dropping. It's actually kind of funny. The webcam is now recording in 4K, but it's like this tiny box in the corner, and like totally pointless. But you know, whatever. I can do stupid things. That's fine. This costume is really working out lately. Glendale is a desert town like just about anything else in Southern California. So the weather goes from exceedingly hot to very cold instantly, and then back to exceedingly hot. There's never any in between for you to enjoy, which is a shame, but what can you do? So we got title. We would presumably have some data information showing you various relevant things. I think what we will stick with for the interim, since I need to do some testing, is we need to make a create routine button. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a routine with the name that you choose and then just take you to the routine page, which would be this. So I'll rename that scene. So we'll just create a button real quick. Button. Create routine. This button can be, we can make it a fair amount bigger than it is. Just gonna temporarily resize it a bit. And obviously the text needs replacing. Don't necessarily need to make it a Text Mesh Pro for now, but it's just sort of a habit at this point. I don't quite know. And perhaps again it's just because it's become a habit. I don't quite know why people would use regular text, but we'll do that. And so I'll stand in just to be able to test things, make sure everything's good to go. So we got our button. Let's see here, button text. The reason I'm giving this a different name than this one, even though they're technically both titles of their respective things, is so that when I search for the word title, it won't just say title twice. One says button title, the other one says title. That way I can quickly see what it is. That for me is very important. It saves a lot of searching time. So the button has an onClick function. And the thing to remember with these scriptable objects is that they are scene agnostic. So as we move through these scenes, I don't have to worry about re-referencing them or reconnecting them. They'll just work. So we're going to create an event, and it's going to be a generic event because we're going to be passing through... Oh, wait, sorry. Actually, we don't need that yet. We're going to be showing a pop-up. So event system is fine. I think that doesn't transfer through scene transitions. I sure hope it doesn't. Let's see here. So we need to create a pop-up when you create the routine. We might as well just create an empty image that is zeroed out. How big do we want this bad boy? That is a good question. This is probably too big. Because ultimately, what is inside of this? Actually, we can do this in reverse. The first thing we need inside of this is a input field. And that input field is going to be name only. And so this is the name of whatever we're doing, which is the name of the routine. So the default text is right here. Enter name. And that's good. We can just leave the text as text. And then we can then also create a button instead of hitting enter on the name. Because what if you hit enter on accident? Instead, you'd rather probably have a button here to click. So, UI button. Just putting it beside it. Create. In fact, I kind of just want to duplicate that button here. Move it up. Give it the old shrink routine. You don't need a minimum size. Believe in yourself. That's a bit big. Maybe you're believing in yourself a little too much. There you go. 20. Perfect. See, we're already getting into a bit of a messy... So let's do new routine. Yeah, that's better. And then new routine. New. Okay, so now we know that we have the input field for the name and the create button. So at that point, really, what is our next step, which would be adding a window for it, because otherwise you don't really have a pop-up until you have a square of some kind. I mean, to be perfectly blunt, 300. That, honestly, it's not super exciting, but that might be it. That probably will work. Give it a different color, maybe a gray. Not trying to win any awards here, just get stuff in other stuff. That's fine. And get in the middle. And then the input field can anchor to the left of this box. And the create field can anchor to the right of this box. And as I've shown before, you can do the whole... Add a bit of a buffer. Let's say 20. Oh, sorry, negative 20. And then same thing here. We'll do that, and then add a buffer of 20. And I kind of feel like we can actually shrink this ever further. That's probably fine. Yeah. Okay. So now we got our create routine pop-up. And the reason we're naming it is it'll eventually be a prefab with a pop-up body on it. For the interim, we're going to turn it off on this new routine button. I just want to show you the gist of what's going to go down. Then you can do game object dot set active. Actually, is there a, can you do a toggle with that? It's totally fine if you can't, because that's actually not my intent. But okay, so set active true. So if we go into the scene by hitting play, we will find that, well, first we'll find that there's something getting grumpy. IO controller is trying to get data because it gets data. Routine.cs is trying to get data. And this is being created in the start function of something right now. We'll get there when we get there. Basically, I haven't finished the other thing that I'd mentioned. That's totally fine. So we click create routine, and it brings up the window, and then blah, 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 blah. And create doesn't do anything yet. Okay. That is perfectly good. All is well. And now, something you would potentially want to do, and yeah, man, I'm sorry, I'm burpy. Not great. Something you'd potentially want to do is have this box be bigger than the button, or disable the button when it gets turned on, just so it's not so tacky. Like, for instance, you could do this so that when you click create routine, it will hide. Oh, sorry, let me disable this. It will hide the play button, the new routine button, and show the other button or other area. Easy peasy, right? Now, obviously, how do you get back? That's something you have to work on, because now that I mentioned that, actually, we have a create button, but we also need a cancel button. So we would want to stretch out this ever further. Matter of fact, we'll just make it as wide and as tall as the create button. And we'll make an additional button, call that cancel. General practices that I remember is that, let me snap that on there, -120, yeah. The general practices that I remember is that cancel is on the right, but I may be wrong, so we'll see. Uh-oh. Thank goodness for muting. That would have killed you. Death of the headphone user. Should be pretty good. Alright. The downside of me having caffeine of any type is that bright light in my eyes later just really messes me up. Makes me sneeze a lot. Okay. So next, we need to fix the IO controller. The easiest way to do that is to add an init function for the IO controller so that when the project opens, then, let's see. It's actually something I need to do. Yeah, I've got an idea here. Public static void init. I got rid of what was there prior. So we'll just do this. Init. And we'll move init down, or move this down into here. That should get rid of the error, I think. Et voila. Sure. I basically just took the same line of code and moved it slightly, but if you don't tell him, I won't tell him. Now, what we can do is we could either create a function that passes through our new routine as an event, or we could, in fact, I think that's exactly what we're going to end up doing, is passing an event. I'm just poking my eyes here, my thinking eyes. Oh, nope, it's mad at me. Okay. I got caught. It happens. Thought I could get away with it, but Unity knows all. So silly, too, because it doesn't honestly matter. Like, this would work in a editor build, or sorry, client build. I guess ultimately what I need to do is not make these static, but where's the fun in that? Oh yeah, I don't need this anymore. What's the other guy I got going? Event controller? Yeah, that's what it is. The event controller is fine. So what's really killing the I/O controller is strictly that something is happening in an on-enable function somewhere. That's fair. Let's go find it. I mean, I guess actually it'd be faster just to look for on-enable, if you ask me. That's not it. That's not it. Well, what you talking about, Willis? If called from scriptable object I/O controller. There is not actually an onEnable function being called here. We don't need any of this anymore. Got that stuff sorted out. It's all nice and clean. Small. I mean, I guess... Do I actually need basically any of this directly static? Not necessarily. Like, what is even kidding this? Does it show the stack trace? Workout says that there's a routine that is getting it. Well, let's go find out. Let's check our routine and see what shenanigans are going on here. So clearly it's this. So a new routine is being made. So then the question becomes, why? Almost literally, that's all I have to say. Why? Let's go check. Events, interfaces. I don't think I have a set of routines anywhere currently. Oh, in the body, it's in this itself. I wonder if that'll fix it. Well, let's find out. Let's go to IO controller and save. And then Bob's your uncle. Okay, so what's happening is when it was trying to serialize those routines, that was triggering, let's go find routines. That was triggering this, what do you call it? The constructor. That was triggering the constructor, which was then calling this, which was causing me no end of grief. So that means to me, I need, oh yeah, that probably shouldn't happen. That next routine ID thing. Do I even need that? Because I think we established that, I say we established like this is a dialogue, but we can just put this back up here. Do I need that? I'm clearly checking the ID here. And then that's how I'm finding down here. But could I do it in a different way? Well, we have the workout day, which was recently added, so that if you set a routine for a certain day, on that day it'll be defaulting to that. But yeah, I think what we can do is I'll probably need to look into how to stop this from happening while the game isn't running, which could actually be handled by resetting the that data whenever you close or stop running the game. Yeah, okay. So now we know why that error is happening, so it doesn't matter anymore, so now we can move on. Cool. That's good. I like when that happens. So what we are doing now is we need to talk to the I/O controller from this this create routine buddy. Cancel we can actually make work really easily. The way you do that is you go to the cancel button, you drag the create routine onto one, the new routine onto the other, and we turn one off, we turn off the create, and we turn the other one back on. Easy, easy peasy. So now, when you click new, brings this up. If you click cancel, switches back. You can do both for some reason. Now we go to the create function or button, and we need to make a few tweaks. I assume you can't open a scene. Okay, I was just seeing. I didn't think you could, but I was curious if you could load a scene. So we're going to create a title controller. Or is that even... We don't actually need to make an in-scene object for that. Because almost any time, if you don't need an update loop, you might as well make a scriptable object. And this is definitely one of those situations. So we'll do title controller. And it's going to be real simple. There's no... Sorry, I'm just going to go grab this. basically what we're adding is we're going to create a public function that changes the scene and creates the new routine. So public void create routine. Yeah, that seems fine. Oh. And what this function is going to do is it's going to first literally create the routine with the name that you just decided on. Where's that? Routine public routine. Oh, that's how we'll track things. We don't need the ID. We'll just use the name. Hey, that's nice. I like when that happens. Public routine string name. And we'll get rid of this ID up here and do public string name. Oh, title. Title. This dot title equals title, because we don't want to use name because that is a supported. We'll actually get rid of this regular constructor. Yeah. Seems like a good plan. Now this is going to throw some errors, and that is totally fine. That's what we want. Because when it throws errors, we can then go find those errors and fix them. So this test function, test routine. And now our add routine function has an ID in it that we need to fix. So we go in here, we see routine exists is likely looking for an ID, so we're going to actually do name or title equals title. String title. So what this function does, sorry, I'm old, so I gotta move sometimes to get blood flowing elsewhere. What this function will now do is it's going to pass a title through, and it's going to look and see if any exercise in this file has the name that's looking for. I'm not going to let you, specifically me, since I'm the one that's going to be using this the most, no two routines can have the same name, and I can't think of any reason why it would be helpful to let you do that, so not going to do it. Okay, so get rid of this. We can also get rid of this int up here, which is great. Less clutter, the better. And we can get rid of this. And where would we want to store the current routine? One suspects that it would be within the fitness controller, but I say nay nay, because that is a mono behavior, and we do not want that. String title. And matter of fact, let's not allow this to be null. Title. Man, laundry's shaking the whole house. So the way the add routine function works is if it finds the routine already exists, it will replace it with the new one. If you have not created a routine yet, it will just make one. Oh, I don't like this function right now. Oh, it's fine because the title is there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So, going back, if it exists, it will update it. If it doesn't exist, or sorry, if it exists in the file already, it will update it. If it exists up here, it'll move it. If it doesn't, it'll just create. Yeah, I feel like this is irrelevant. We're going to get rid of that, and then later when I see why I did that, I'll put it back. If it exists, then just overwrite it. If it doesn't exist, add it. Tray magnifique. And we actually don't need even this, because we can just do routine.title. And again, the fewer arguments, the better. There's less for you to mess up, and that's always nice. And now let's go see where our other errors are. Shaky, 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 shaky. You can hear things like rattling in here. Okay, so you can roughly see what I'm doing. All right, so we're, okay, down here, we just need to go in and, okay, so as we were saying, where do we want to take care of the, I feel like we should do a state controller, which handles the current state of the application. That seems reasonable. Yeah. That's kind of the thing. I need to think of a better naming convention for my controllers, because honestly, you already know, like, so many of the files become controllers just because if you just call it state, I mean, I guess that's fine. And then this could just be called title. Yeah, we'll fight the urge. I blame Unity mostly because one of the default tags it gives you is game controller, and so then you just get into this cycle of calling everything controller. But for like pop-up controller, that's because you would have a class inside of that called pop-ups, very likely, and then well, actually, I think you could do this because it'd be lowercase pop-ups inside. Obviously, I need to fix all these files on the inside. Rename pop-ups. And then for title controller, rename title. Hey! Where was I? Yeah, as it gets later and later, it becomes harder and harder to remember what you're doing. At a certain point, you just have to cut your losses and go to bed. But I have a little bit more steam left in me, so we'll see how far that carries. So we're gonna keep this real simple because there's no point in overcomplicating something when you're not getting brownie points for making it exceedingly complicated. And in this particular instance, what we are going to be doing is having it track what the current routine is. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. And yeah, that's probably it. So public. Do we want to track it as a string just to keep... Oh, no, because scriptable objects are single data references. So public routine data dot... Oh. Whoops. Namespace Rico dot data. Make it easier on myself. Routine. Current routine. And so the way this value will work is you can track what the current routine is, and that will help you to know. Let me grab this. Sorry, sometimes it's really difficult to talk at the same time that you're doing something. And I try, like, I'm getting better at it slowly, but it's really difficult. So, basically, oh, you're right. Can't have this be the same name. That's naughty. Sure. We'll keep it lowercase. Ooh, voice cracked. 32, haven't hit puberty yet. Or perhaps I haven't finished it yet. I forget how the rules work. All I know is that I definitely feel my age in my knees. It's actually kind of funny, really. Like, you break your arms, and then everyone tells you, you're gonna feel that so much when you get older. And I've lost a little bit of mobility in my arms, a little bit. But they still work really well, and they almost never hurt. Nobody ever warned me how fragile knees were, so once I damaged those, it was the end. So now I'm just in, like, constant knee pain. It is absolutely frustrating. Very tiring. Anyways, what we're tracking here is does the name... Oh, in fact, we don't even need to be doing this find. What we can do instead is we can do state dot current routine. Oh, I guess I would want it to be a static if I wanted to do it. In fact, I don't even need this, so we'll get rid of that. Oh, but yeah, as I was saying, my knees, man, they just hurt all the time. Jesus. Warmups. Add value. And get rid of that. Cooldowns. Exercises. Cool. Okay, so we need to also have a public static void set routine. And what this will do is it will set state.current routine to equal routine. And so this will change our reference routine. Or actually, maybe I should do that strictly through the state controller itself. Probably. Or have the state controller listen or something. I don't know. You know, playing it by ear. Public static void set routine. Routine. Current routine equals routine. Yeah. And so what would happen is when you create one or you select one, we would set this and then do this. So I guess you'd also have load routine, which is how that one function in fitness controller, I think it was. Yeah, I think fitness controller needs a good cleaning. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's see, that should get rid of all the errors. So I guess the only real thing we should do before we sign off here, so that I can go finish laundry and the what have yous, is we'll just do a proof of concept. We'll make the button work, and which is, you know, ideal. We'll make the button work, and then we'll close it out. We'll have it create a routine. It won't necessarily do anything on the next scene when it switches, but we can go and look at the scriptable objects and see that it does indeed work. So we know that the current function for, and I'm sorry, I'm rubbing my knee, but it hurts a lot. we know that we have an add routine function currently inside of the fitness controller. That's all well and good, except the fitness controller is a mono behavior. It is not a scriptable object. Now, you might be saying to yourself, why is it a mono behavior and not a scriptable object? And to that I say, as I glance at it now, that is an excellent, excellent question. And good on you for asking such an excellent, excellent question. In fact, it almost looks like it currently does nothing of value. These are just pass-throughs from my I/O controller. So really, I should be able to just take this. Now, it's not going to work perfectly because I need to actually make a class, which we actually already have it, don't we? We have the title scriptable object. So we could is my state not set to scriptable object? Is it still a mono behavior? It is. My bad, Unity. So we need to make a static function in the title. Well, actually, we don't want a static function. We want a regular one because we're going to go into this create, do this, drag our, first we need to create it, drag our title controller into the create, and then create routine. And real quick, we'll do debug.log, or actually, we can already use it, io.control. Oh. Namespace, rico.data. And then in here, we can do io controller, or io controller dot create or add routine. And the routine that we're going to be creating is a new routine with the name of, we don't actually know yet. It's going to be in that input field. So we need to find that input field and pass the routine's name into it. So that's one reason why you wouldn't want it to be a mono behavior, because now it doesn't have access to this information. But there is a shorthand way we can temporarily do it. This isn't proper. I don't like it because I don't have the pop-up object yet. So what we're going to do for now, just for proof of concept before I go to bed, is we're just going to find it in the scene and go from there. So string routine name equals find object of type input field, or input? It's not just input, is it? Input field. Input field. And it's going to complain that I need to use Unity UI. Here we go. Dot text. All right. And routine name should be a string, Mr. Bond. Okay, so we're going to test this out. So we go in. Slowly. We'll get there. We press new routine. Go into the name field. We type, I don't know, workout. And then we click create. And we see that down here it says, I don't know, workout routine added. We go over to the I/O controller. Sure enough, it was added. We don't have the workout day yet, but that's something that you'd be setting yourself in the next scene. So we're going to hit stop, delete this so that it doesn't troll us. And now we're going to do Unity engine dot scene management dot, actually I don't even need that. Scene management dot, hey, why you underscoring in red? Oh, because it's scriptable objects. Okay. Oh, can you not use scene? Time to check. That'd be crazy if you can't use scene loading from scriptable object. Like, that would be wild. Like, why would that not exist? My mind would be so properly blown. Okay, we're doing good so far. We'll just do that for now. Then we'll go back into the editor, build settings. Load. Add open scenes, switch these bad boys around so the title scene is index 0, routine is index 1. Hit close, save. And then hit play. So then we go. New routine. Testing, test. Hit create. Takes us into the main routine scene. And as we look over here, I think, let me check the stream. Yeah, you can see it. We've got testing, test, and all of our warm-up, our various sets that are ready to be filled. So in our next video, I will actually make it, put your name of the thing here and have a few different placeholder UI objects for all the various content. And then I'll start working on the idea with what I'm doing right now is I want to get all the functions done in a loose enough way that once the final UI is made, it's really just a matter of hooking it up. So you don't want to make anything strict. You want to make sure that everything is based off of event flow and things that are basically scene agnostic and outside of the scene. I think that's totally reasonable. We will see over time if that bites me in the butt or not. I really don't think it will, but hubris usually gets me in the end, so we'll see how it goes. And yeah, that's I think that's the end of it for today. If your day is going like my right knee, I hope it doesn't tomorrow. I hope tomorrow is a much better day for you. And, you know, I really appreciate whenever folks watch these things, 1 person, 2 people. That's always cool to me. I'm not, it's actually kind of, real quick before I go, it's actually kind of, to me, a bit amusing. There's certain things you can't say without it seeming like the opposite is true. So when I say that these sort of things don't bother me, I realize actually, at least when I myself try to take in the perception of an outside viewer, that why would I bring it up if it doesn't? But it's like, how do you address certain things without it being sort of cyclical, like it eats on itself? Or just by addressing it, you make it seem like it's not true? It's tricky. It's like when somebody's doing something and they accuse you of doing it first. If you then turn around and go, you're describing yourself, then it seems like the whole when you were a kid and you're going, nuh-uh, you. And they basically win before the argument even starts. It's very clever. Yeah. I guess that's what I'll leave you on. Childhood trickery just sticks with you until you get older. Then you find yourself mid-30s, well, early 30s, wearing a Murloc outfit. Keeps you toasty in the cold desert winter. Yeah. Liz would probably correct me and say it's still fall, but it's winter to me.